Good evening, everyone. So last week we finished the book of Judges, and in Judges we saw that while there were some great judges, some great heroes, it was still a period of disunity in which everyone did what was right in their own eyes, and we had some tribes having civil war with each other, and some not doing what they were supposed to do and worshiping idols and all this other kind of stuff, and intermingling with the peoples and worshiping false gods. And so now we're in the beginning, we're transitioning to the other one. Before we get to kings and all the great in that great kingship period, the kingdom period, we have this little aside with Ruth. And Ruth is another one of these great ones, especially because it's an unexpected one. It's the one where you hear, there's a couple of these where you have the unexpected hero. That's a big theme for all the scriptures, and Ruth is one of those. In the days when the judges ruled, so it's setting the time period, so it's pre-kingdom. Everyone's doing what they're right in their own eyes. So it's in the days when the judges rule. And you can see that, again, this is like a campfire story. Not just like a campfire, but it's also like the story you tell yourself while you're at night and you don't have TV. So these are the stories you would tell. So in this time, long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, it's that kind of thing. There was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to live in the country of Moab. He and his wife had 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. Now, if you notice that there's a name that we still have today, they're probably going to be important. So, the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. So, of all those names, Naomi and Ruth, we're going to know who are the most important characters here. They were Ephraimites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The names of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. When they had lived there for about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. So this is kind of the first unexpected thing. So you have an Israelite family, and they leave Israel. And they live Israel, not only that, but they marry outside the tribe. Not really supposed to do that. And they all die. So this is going to be that unexpected. So if you remember back to when they first came in, and you had, now I can't think of the name, but you had not Rebecca, Rahab, who helped the spies who were reconnoitering in Jericho, and she kind of came in. This is going to be another one of those cases where you can enter into the covenant, but you have to give up what you were before. So we're going to see Ruth, who, even though she's a foreigner, she's going to come in and become part of this greater whole of Israel. Then she started to return with her daughter-in-law from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had consideration for his people and given them food. So she set out from the place where she had been living, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on their way to go back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find security, each of you, in the house of your husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. They said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb, that you may have your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way. For I am too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I should have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they were grown? Would you then refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it has been far more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me." Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people." and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There will I be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you. So we start off, okay, this is going to be who Ruth is. We quickly know who Ruth is, and this is a beautiful statement of faith. And of course, it's in this person that she loves. And there's almost not marriage, but in that idea of like when the two people come and they commit each other to their, she's committing herself to Ruth in this beautiful way. And like you can see now, your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. So this is the difference. I'm willing to give up what came before so I can be part of this new. So it's not that I'm going to bring my old bad habits with me. No, I'm willing to take on the new man, take on what should be taken on. So this is why she can stay. And it's kind of beautiful. And you know, why Ruth needs to send them back, why Naomi wants to send them back is at this time, of course, this is kind of a barbaric time. And it's not a good, especially for a woman where you don't do it. So have a husband, it isn't just, oh, you need a man. No, it's a matter of protection. It's a matter of you don't want to be taken advantage. This is the period where tribes will come in and capture you and turn you into a slave pretty easy and all that kind of stuff. So this is just a matter of protection and being part of that greater whole. Being part of the tribe means protection and safety. So the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the woman said, is this Naomi? She said to them, call me no longer Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. Mara means bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. They call me Naomi when the Lord was dealt harshly with me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me. So Naomi returned together with Ruth, the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, who came back with her from the country of Moab. They came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a prominent rich man of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain, behind someone in whose sight I may find favor. She said to her, go, my daughter. So she went. So if you never had gleaning explained to you, and this is one of the things. So gleaning, how it works is when you go through your normal harvest and you're beating the grains off and you're collecting them or you're cutting them, some always are going to fall and get loose. And so gleaning is going through that second harvest. So it's picking up ears off the ground, and it's all that kind of stuff, and it was specifically reserved for the poor. So they said, this is the loose grapes and the second cutting and all that kind of stuff. So gleaning is going over and getting the scraps, getting to the dirty stuff, getting the stuff. So it's not glamorous. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and you might just get enough just to survive kind of thing. That's the idea of it. So you leave it for the poor because they don't have anything else to do, so you're leaving the kind of scraps, but at the same time, you're not going to deprive them of that. So let them have at least that little bit. So it's not a glamorous thing by any means, but it's a tradition of how you kind of take care of the lowliest in your culture. Just then Boaz came from Bethlehem. He said to the reapers, the Lord be with you. They answered, the Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant, who was in charge of the reapers, to whom does this young woman belong? The servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, she is the Moabite who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, please let me glean and gather among the shearers behind the reapers. So she came, and she has been on her feet from early this morning until now, without resting even for a moment. So if Judges is like a Western or that kind of a movie, Ruth is a romantic comedy. It is meant to be a romantic comedy. It is a romance story. It's going to have a happy ending. So it's not comedy in the ha-ha, but comedy in that it's happy. And so this is like the love at first sight, in the movie where the guy sees the girl from a distance and she stands out and the sun's glistening off of her. And he's seen her working and do it. And we see that he's a good guy because he's rich and successful. You notice in rom-coms, they never have to work. They're already well off. So that's the thing. He's already fine. He's not going to have to change much. It's just about them coming together. They're both good people already. And so this is what this is. And you notice we know he's a good man already because what does he do? He's good to his employees. He's already rich, but he says, the Lord be with you, and they bless him back. So he has, it's kind of like in the movie, if you have the millionaire owner of the business, but he knows the secretary's name and buys him a gift for his birthday. It's that moment. So it's we're supposed to like Boaz right off the bat. He's a good guy. We're supposed to like him. We're not supposed to question it. And now they're starting to have that meet cute and get together. Then Boaz said to Ruth, now listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Keep your eyes on the field that is being reaped and follow behind them. I have ordered the young men not to bother you. If you get thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. Then she fell prostrate with her face to the ground and said to him, why have I found favor in your sight, that you should take notice of me, when I am a foreigner? But Boaz answered her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told me, and how you left your father and mother in your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. May the Lord reward you for your deeds, and may you have a full reward from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. Then she said, may I continue to find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, even though I am not one of your servants. So remember what I said about protection. And so you can see he's already taking on that kind of role for her, because he says, don't go to the other ones, because it's kind of, there might be some implication they might not treat you right. So I'll treat you right, stay here, you'll be safe, and I'll treat you well like the other women and all that kind of stuff. You can drink. So he's already taking on that masculine role in the relationship, in the role of protection, which is, again, was Naomi's fear in the first place. How can you come here if you, especially, again, they're not supposed to marry foreigners, but she's already not completely a foreigner because she's a connection with Naomi, so we're already seeing how this is going to play out. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, come here and eat some of this bread and dip your morsel in the sour wine. So she sat beside the reapers, and he heaped up for her some parched grain. She ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. Then she got up to glean. Boaz instructed his young men, let her glean even among the standing sheaves, and do not reproach her. You must not pull out some handfuls for her from the bundles and leave them for her to glean. Do not rebuke her. So again, in the rom-com, this is the first they have the meal together, and it goes well, and they're they're having the fun meal together, and they're eating and stuff. And then he's kind of giving her special treatment, hey, drop some extra sheaves for her so that she gets treated well, and that kind of stuff. So this isn't supposed to be a mystery of what's going to happen here. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. She picked it up and came into the town, and her mother-in-law saw how much she had gleaned. Then she took out and gave her what she was left over after she herself had been satisfied. Her mother-in-law said to her, where did you glean today? And where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. So she took her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, the name of the man with whom I work today is Boaz. Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be her by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. Naomi also said to her, this man is a relative of ours, one of our nearest kin. Then Ruth and the Moabite said, again, they keep on emphasizing that she's the Moabite, because remember, she is the foreigner. That's an important part of the story. He even said to me, 'Stay close by your servants until then you have finished all my harvest.' Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, 'It is better, my daughter, that you go out with his young women. Otherwise you might be bothered in another field.'" Again, that sense of protection. So you could see this, again, if this was the movie, you would see her walking by another field and the young men would catcall her or harass her or something, and then Boaz would come in and step in and do it. That's not going to happen here, but that's kind of the implication. The implication is you might get harassed, even something worse might happen. So while they're supposed to respect the poor, of course, this is the time of Judges, and we know that they're doing things what they see in the right of their own eyes. So we know that doesn't always work out well. So the fact that he's showing that protection is a good thing. So she stayed close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and the wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, I need to seek some security for you, so that it may be well with you. Now, here is our kinsman Boaz, with whose young women you have been working." So again, Naomi's going to be, again, like the matchmaker here. So again, that role, that kind of stereotype of it, like the one, again, it's even the mother-in-law. So it's like the mom who was like, "Oh, well, you should go," pushes the couple together and coordinates them to be on the same date or something like that. So it's that kind of thing. "See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Now wash and anoint yourself and put on your best clothes and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go to uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." She said to her, "All that you tell me I will do." Okay, another scene that we have, and still, again, we're not nearly as clever as we think we are. The dressing up scene where you take off the glasses, undo the ponytail, now you're all beautiful. Now this is that scene. So she's going to get dressed up to show off, and in a good way, to show who she is and show she's worthy to being pursued and all that kind of stuff. So it's that same scene. It's the going to the mall and trying on all the different dresses scene. So she went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had instructed her. When Boaz had eaten and drunk, and he was in a contented mood, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came quietly and uncovered his feet and lay down. At midnight the man was startled and turned over, and there lying at his feet was a woman. Okay, so there's a lot of things that that people have made about this one. So feet have a sexual connotation in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew, and it can be used as a euphemism for the manlyhood. And so some people have used this to imply that she's actually doing something like sexually inappropriate or sexually thing. It's not that. She's uncovering his feet, but that does have sexual connotations. So this is it is sexual allurement. She is using her womanliness. Again, she dressed up pretty. She wants to show that she would be a good wife. And so she's not doing anything untoward. I don't think so. I don't think we have to interpret it that way, but it does have a sexual connotation. It is meant to have a sexual connotation, and that's okay because, again, that's part of the pursuit. That's part of the couple coming together. It's a romance. There has to be a sexual connotation. There is, and so that's where, so it does have a sexual connotation to it, but it's not meant to be seen that she's doing anything inappropriate, or at least that's what I believe. I don't think we should belittle Ruth in that way. That seems wrong to me. At midnight, the man was startled and turned over, and there, lying at his feet, was a woman. And again, you can see that one, where it's like, oh my gosh, there's a pretty woman right at my feet. That's a nice way to wake up. "I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your cloak over your servant, for you are my next of kin." Now so this is very symbolic. So you spread your cloak over. Remember, we had that even line about spreading the Lord bringing his wings over them. This is symbolic. This is taking you under my roof. That's the idea. So if you take me under your cloak, then you're under my protection. And she's actually now claiming something. You're my next of kin because you are related to my brothers. So you kind of owe this to me. Not only are this, but you kind of owe this to me. So this is what now she's making an ask. So she comes up all pretty to ask, but she says, but hey, if we're going to do this, if we're going to have this relationship, we have to do it appropriately. So that's why, again, I think you should see it in the right context. She's offering herself but in the appropriate way. If you desire me, and you should, look how gorgeous I am, but we have to do this in the right way. May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. This last instance of your loyalty is better than the first. You have not gone after young men, whether they have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you all that you ask, for all the assembly of my people know that you are a worthy woman. But now, though it is true that I am a near kinsman, there is another kinsman more closely related than I. Remain this night, and in the morning, if he will act as next of kin for you, good, let him do so. If he is not willing to act as next of kin for you, then the Lord lives, I will act as next of kin for you. Lie down until the morning. And so, again, the scene. While she acts all pretty and you think she just likes him because you're pretty, no, you're really pretty, and I'll do it because that's the right. But you're also a good woman. That's the main thing. You notice Boaz has never mentioned her beauty once. We're presuming she's beautiful, and that's fine. But why has he always done it? Because she's a good woman. Because she takes care of her mother-in-law. Because everyone attests to her goodness. So it's like the romantic scene where it's like, it's like even somebody who might have been like they're not looking pretty anymore. It was never about that. It's that moment. It's the I love you for you moment. That's what this is. And that you're good. That's why you're worthy of being pursued. Regardless of the sexual connotation, regardless of how pretty you look, it's because you're good. That's why you're pursued. So it's a nice moment. So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up before one person could recognize another, for he said, it must not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. Again, he doesn't want, this would be like ruining the reputation. You don't want to have the walk of shame, especially when there isn't anything inappropriate. So he doesn't want to ruin her name in any way or think that he's forced into this. So this is, again, about propriety. So again, thinking about her. Then he said, bring the cloak you are wearing and hold it out. So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her back. Then she went into the city. She came to her mother-in-law, who said, how did things go with you, my daughter? Then she told her all that the man had done with her, saying, he gave me the 6 measures of barley, for he said, do not go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed. She replied, wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today. So now this is the conflict. Again, before the couple gets together, there has to be some kind of drama. And this one, it's usually the somebody says something or an ex shows up and then they are mad at each other. That's not this one. In this one, there's, I can act as next of kin, but actually there's someone who is closer related. So he has the first rights in this situation according to tradition and everything. So that's like the dun-dun-dun moment. Oh, will Ruth end up with Boaz? Stay tuned. And of course, we know how this is going to turn out because it's a rom-com. It's not supposed to be a surprise. We all know how it's going to turn out. But we have to have a little bit of drama nevertheless. So no sooner had Boaz gone up to the gate and sat down where then the next of kin of whom Boaz had spoken came passing by. So Boaz said, come over, friend, sit down here. And he went over and sat down. Then Boaz took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down. So he's having all the people, so he wants to make sure he's doing this in the right way. He's doing it in the legit way. Again, it's the I want to marry you before we do anything else kind of thing. It's a no one. I'm going to make an honest woman out of you. Naomi, who had come back from the country of Moab, is selling the parcel of land that belonged to our kinsman Elimelech. So I thought I would tell you of it and say, buy it in the presence of those sitting here, and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it. But if you will not, tell me so that I may know. for there is no one prior to you to redeem it, and I come after you." So he said, "I will redeem it." Then Boaz said, "The day you acquire the field from the hands of Naomi, you are also acquiring Ruth, the Moabite, the widow of the dead man, to maintain the dead man's name on his inheritance." At this, the next of kin said, "I cannot redeem it for myself without damaging my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption yourself, for I cannot redeem it." So this is Boaz, again, being a little bit tricky, and he's doing that little, again, because it makes the story a little bit better. So he's like, he doesn't want to go straight at it, because if he just says, "Hey, marry this girl," or it's like, you have to kind of do it, it might not turn out in the right way. So he's like, okay, he's kind of doing this like, okay, well, you're going to take this thing, you'll get it, but it comes with this responsibility kind of with it. She's like, "Oh, I don't think I can do that." It's like, okay, well, I guess will you do that for me? Boaz, I guess I'll do it for you. And that's what he wanted to do the whole time. This would make more sense if we were ancient Hebrews. I will admit, this doesn't make full sense to me either, just to be clear. This is a lot of those traditions of like, so what's the issue? The idea is that Boaz is being a little bit clever. That's the main thing to understand. Now, this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, one party took off a sandal and gave it to the other. And you notice how this is an old tradition, and they're even saying it now, because this is being written in the time of David or the kingdom in that period. So they're even having to explain, well, back in those days, now we're still saying that 2,000 years later, trying to understand it. So back in those days, so when the next of kin said to Boaz, "Acquire it for yourself," he took off his sandal. Then Boaz said to the elder and all the people, "Today you are witness that I have acquired from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech, and all that belonged to Shalon and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, the wife of Mahlon, to be my wife, to maintain the dead man's name on his inheritance, in order that the name of the dead may not be cut off from his kindred, and from the gate of his native place. Today you are witnesses." Then all the people who were in the gate, along with the elders, said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you produce children in Ephrathah, and bestow a name in Bethlehem. And through the children that the Lord will give you by this young woman, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah." So they're recalling all these other great women and all these ones who are prolific, so they're like being blessed. Now, again, the other point here is he's taking on this full burden, and from their eyes it's a burden, but of course he's willing to take that on because at this point he loves Ruth, and so he's willing to take this on. And of course we know there is no field. He's not getting any benefit. That was kind of the trick of it. Like, no, he's just taking them on because he loves them. So he's taking on the full burden out of love and out of responsibility, but again, doing it the right way. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When they came together, the Lord made her conceive, and she bore a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without next of kin. And may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age, of your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has borne him." Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her bosom and became his nurse. The woman of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the descendants of Perez. Perez became the father of Hezron became of Ram of Amminadab of Nahshon of Salmon of Boaz of Obed of Jesse, and Jesse of David. And so this is kind of why we're having, again, those genealogies and what it's supposed to reveal. So this is the founding narrative for David, because the next one we're going into the kingdom period, so we're going into David. So we're going into David. And so again, the beautiful thing is this would not be what you would ideally make for your own one, because again, you don't want your great-grandmother to be a foreigner if you're the king. You want her to be Israelite. But again, they take that on because just like Tamar and just like some other times we've seen, just like Rahab, we've seen that these people are like that you can come in and be part of it, and especially with the women. And so this is that showing the strength. There's a reason why it's Ruth. The book is Ruth, not Boaz. It's about the nobility of women. It's the nobility of how they can do it. So while both of them are good, it shows you that, and that she's in the line. And more importantly than being in the line of David, that'll also show that she'll be in the line of Christ. So she'll be one of several of the women specifically named in the line of Christ, including Tamar, including Rahab. And so these are all the ones that kind of come down. So it's like that kind of nice, beautiful little story. So Ruth is a really nice little story. It's again, whereas Judges is definitely more for the guys' audience, definitely more with the blood and the violence and all that kind of stuff. Ruth is something for the ladies, a nice little rom-com, a nice little romantic story that still reveals that great truth, that if you desire it. So first of all, it shows you how to have that proper romantic relationship where you can be desired and be pursued and pursue each other, but doing it in the right way and doing it in the appropriate way and still loving each other and coming together for the right reasons and doing it and being feminine, being masculine, and all that kind of stuff coming together. And also that willingness and that love not only for Boaz, but for Naomi and that great relationship. So that foundation of that family is that beautiful moment. So all that comes together. So just a nice little story. Ruth said, just a nice little story. It just makes you feel happy. There's no negatives. It's just a nice, happy story. So that's good. And since that's right there, we'll just end with that today. And we'll begin Samuel next time. And then we're going to get into the kingdom period, where it's not always so happy. But that's okay. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. Was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Good night, everybody.